Hello and welcome back, fellow soldiers, to the developers briefing number 66. Now, even though that we have a lot of bad news around with the coronavirus going on, there's still some good news, and that is the developers briefing that has come out today, this afternoon. And in today's outlook for the next updates, the devs are bringing us the Greyhound M8 a bit closer. They've already announced that they will include the M8 Greyhound as a light vehicle in the next updates, and in this developers briefing they're showing us some new pictures of it and some backstory around it, how the M8 Greyhound fit into the army and what it was meant for originally. So let's have a closer look at it. The devs open the developers briefing with the following words. With expanded Recon mechanics right around the corner, we've been hard at work creating all the necessary assets to bring them to life. We're excited to show you the way they work and integrate into the larger picture of the metagame in both offensive and warfare game modes. We've noticed many community members speculating at the way the Recon vehicle specifically will work within Hell Let Loose, and we're keen to assure you that they are going to be far more than a wheeled version of a light tank, but more on that in a later dev briefing. And with that, they give us one of the very first pictures of the M8 Greyhound that you can see now. We've already had an earlier picture. If you check out my latest video or one of the latest dev briefings, there you could see a concept of how the M8 Greyhound will be built up, but in today's dev briefing we're getting some new pictures how they will actually look like in the game. And as the devs said, there had been some rumors on how the M8 Greyhound will be implemented, by what class or class members it will be able to be played, how strong it will be against other tanks, will it be a low-level armory class vehicle, or would it even be able to take on the fight with a big tank? And with today's dev briefing, the devs tell us a little bit more about those details. And they say the M8 Greyhound will be the key reconnaissance vehicle for the United States Army in Hell Let Loose. The Greyhound is a relatively unimposing vehicle in appearance, but will function as an important strategic boon to the whole of the team. Somewhat ironically for Hell Let Loose, the Greyhound was initially developed as a new light tank destroyer. The army requested a 6x4 wheeled vehicle armed with a 37mm gun, complete with a hull-mounted MG and a coaxial on the turret, much the same as the Stuart or Sherman tank. Its armor was supposed to withstand fire from a 50 caliber machine gun and side armor from a 30 caliber machine gun. But very quickly the US military realized that the Greyhound's 37mm armament and lack of substantial armor thickness made it ineffective against the new Germany armor. So with these sentences you get a little outlook on how the new M8 Greyhound will probably be implemented in the game. First, in the real war scenario, it was thought of as a light tank destroyer that was easy to detach from the whole battalion, go around the flank, and was fast on the track, could move very fast around the enemy front, and could probably take it on with a light tank. But the US military had to realize that the armor of the M8 Greyhound wasn't the best that they've ever implemented, at least not in comparison with the German armor, with the big tanks or the light tanks of the Germans. And to warn or give a warning to us, the player base, Hell Let Loose is also noting that the Greyhound is very lightly armored and is prey to nearly every anti-tank weapon in the game. Historically, the Greyhound was so lightly armored that crewmen would line the interior of the vehicle with sandbags to function as additional armor against mines and explosive rounds. So just so you know, and that you are warned for the future, this tank is not a fast light tank. It's just so you are protected from small arms fire and can probably have a look or have a spy at the enemies and move away very quickly. And that was exactly how the M8 was then also implemented in the warfare. And the devs write here, the M8 was not designed for offensive combat, and its firepower was adequate only against similar lightly armored enemy vehicles and infantry. The vehicle's armor provided a fair degree of protection against small arms fire, but nothing more. With a meager 6mm of floor armor, the M8 was particularly vulnerable to German mines. The M8 in Hell Let Loose will mirror this historical purpose and function, allowing crews invulnerability from small arms fire. And as I told you before, and as you can see now, the vehicle is not really intended as a tank. It is intended to drive people to the front or around the front and act as the eyes and ears of advancing columns to get away fast, to get to different points fast, but without being invulnerable from AT fire. And with that, the devs close the developers briefing number 66 of this week, and they're saying they're looking forward to explaining exactly how the M8 will function in the weeks to come, as well as introducing the new vehicle spawning mechanisms and the crewing opportunities in the Greyhound and newer vehicle variants. Now, if you want to have a closer look at the background story on how the M8 was initially developed and what it was meant for, you can always check out the Steam link in the description below. There you can find the developers briefing and have a closer look at the details. Now, that's been it for the developers briefing of this week. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel and like the video, and I'll see you on the battlefield.
George, squad, do you copy?